local governance. If we add chieftaincy, religious affairs, and sanitation, it makes it even bigger. Tell us your take about that.
Mr. Chairman, what I can say is that with your help, I will be able to do it. Simply because 3 ministries are going to be combined to make one ministry. It now becomes structural realignment, where coordinators will be positioned at the other ministries that are being brought together with the local government ministry. The sanitation model department will have a coordinator. The chieftaincy department will have a coordinator. And the local government itself will have a coordinator. And there will be a chief director who will be coordinating all these things. So man work or man duty will be to deepen effective supervision and
Honorable nominee, there's this vexed issue, or supposedly, between MMDCs and members of parliament. I'm sure you would have had some experiences. Some parties or political parties even went to the extent of asking MMDCs who have intention of contesting for parliamentary elections to step aside. That tells you that even parties recognize that there's a step forward. Tell us what your take is on this and how you will deal with that as a minister for local governments when giving the nod.
Mr. Chairman, the role of DCs, MMDCs, is different from the role of. And having been a member of parliament for this my 17th year, in my first year, I was given a story, and that is what I can tell my brother here. The current chairman of the National Democratic Congress, Honorable Asedun Ketia, once told me, Ahmed, when you become a member of parliament, don't be looking at what the DCs are getting. You chose to be a member of parliament. They chose to be DCs. Concentrate on your member of parliament and you will go far. But if you are doing your member of parliament duty and you are still looking at what the DCs are getting, they are called chiefs. They are treated as kings and we are treated as servants. If the servants want to look at what the chiefs are getting, there will be that confusion. In the same way, when the DCE is also looking at what the servant is also getting, will be thinking of destabilizing that servant. And this has been the source of conflict among DCEs and MPs. But if everybody will look at their jurisdiction, that conflict will be done away with. However, as a minister responsible for local governance, when given the nod, having been a whip in parliament for 12 years, Mr. Chairman, I will not, and I will repeat it, I will not allow any DCE to disrespect any member of parliament. Yeah. In the same way, approved, I will also make sure there's a common platform for DCs and members of parliament to be able to have frequent meetings for us to understand our various job descriptions. But I've been a whip. There were instances where MPs were caged in Accra for over 9 months. They couldn't go to their constituencies in the name of doing parliamentary business. So if that understanding is not given to DCs, while the MP is here doing national assignment, the DC will be rapidly or radically destabilizing the member of parliament. When that one happens, it is not the MP you are fighting. You are fighting the very seat you are sitting on as DCs. When these things are made clear to the DCs and the MPs, I think there will be peace. Finally, Mr. Chairman, DCs who sabotage their MPs in the last elections couldn't win. As a whip, there were many complaints where DCs were sitting on the common fund of their MPs. Yes, still the MPs won. So it is not how you mishandle your MP's common fund that will make the MP lose. DC, use the money given to you to work. MP, use the one given to you to work. When everybody is to work on our various roles and responsibilities, there will be peace. But once again, I, as a former deputy whip for 12 years, will not allow any DC to disrespect any MP. That is my word, and you can take it from me.
Thank you, Honorable Ahmed. Honorable Shabu, you have more questions. You have a last question.
You can go, you can go.
Honorable nominee, I can see that members of parliament seated here and those listening to you have an impression that there's going to be some fireworks, and the positive one, of course, in their favor.
Thank you.
My last question has to do with drip. Your predecessor is here. He mentioned drip. And can you tell us who procured those equipment? In whose name are they procured? Are they assigned directly to assemblies? What's the actual mandate?
It's a chairman. Those times, the initiative, and if I'm to go deep into the drip, we may even sleep here. Because this is where Parliament held the administrator for this Assembly Common Fund to account for some 3.5 billion Ghana cedis arrests from 2018, 2019, 2020, and up to 2022. So it was that money, arrest, that was supposed to be given to the administrator to procure the machines. But Mr. Chairman, me that when the machines were about to be procured, the Ministry for Local Government was not involved. They were procured at the office of the President. And as I speak to you, not all the money has been paid. The contract, when given the nod, everything will be made clear, and the House will be well informed about the position of the drip. It was a good concept, politicized and destroyed at birth, but we can rejuvenate it.
Yes. I wish you well, Honorable nominee.
Thank you, Honorable Shabu. It is now the turn of Honorable President Eko Asafua, the MP for Otafu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Let me first and foremost congratulate the nominee for
Thank you, my good friend.
For his appointment. I know he is going to deliver because being a leader of this house, he has shown the mettle and the intellectual capacity on the floor of the house. So I have no doubt in my mind that the Honorable Ahmed is going to be a very good local government minister. Having said that, I would want to pick your thoughts on two constitutional provisions. Before I got in, I was listening to you, and I think a question was asked to you specifically, that is the DACF administrator going to be answerable to you? And your answer was in the affirmative. In view of that, if you could turn your constitution to Article 70, if you have your constitution, you could turn it to Article 70 of the 1992 Constitution, 70C, which reads, that is, appointments by the President. The President shall, acting in consultation with the Council of State, appoint, the C is the District Assembly's Common Fund Administrator. If you also turn the same Constitution to Article 2524, 252, approval of Parliament. So since you are saying that the District Assembly's Common Fund Administrator is going to be answerable to you in the event that you are called upon by His Excellency the President to give an opinion as to how this appointment will have to be done, what is going to be your take on this?
The nominee can answer, but I think from what you've read from the Constitution, I don't see any inconsistency. The President must appoint in consultation with the Council of State. I'm coming. I will. But I'm the chair. I'm the chair. Turn off your mic, please. Yes, I know, but the chairman has views, and I have to express them. And so I believe that
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the question that was asked was, do I think that the Common Fund Administrator should report to the minister responsible for local government? And I answered in the affirmative. But the question was not in reference to the position of law. If it comes to the position of the law, the chairman, this is the Local Governance Act 2016. It was Parliament previously, the Local Governance Act 455, made the administrator for this Assembly Common Fund to report to the minister responsible for local government. In 2016, Parliament changed the law and made it that Section 129, that the minister, the District Assembly Common Fund Administrator, should report to Parliament and the office of the President. And that is what brought a turf war between the two. And since then, Mr. Chairman, there have been practical implementation challenges. And if a law was passed in 2016 and you've encountered practical implementation challenges, I think the law must be revisited, the defect must be corrected. And it was in that background that when the issue came, I stood with the law. And I told the minister responsible for local governance at that time, you brought the law and amended it. If you now think that the law is giving practical or implementation challenges, let's go back to Parliament and amend the law. So the answer I gave was in connection of how the cure can be given. Because one, during the law was passed in 2016. Honorable Hajia Halima had challenges. Honorable Damboche had challenges. My very good brother who was asking me these questions also had challenges. And, Sir Chairman, the whole issue is how to resource local MMDAs. And it is the minister responsible for local government who has that supervisory rules. So you can't give me job that I should go and fix the thing, and you've taken the pliers and the spanners from me. How am I going to fix it? That is why the former ministers for local governance after the law had those challenges. And Mr. Chairman, I don't want to sound too political, but truly, let's look at the performance of the MMDAs, how DCs are not feeling comfortable to sit in their various offices because they always complain that greater portion of the DACF is deducted at source. So if the minister is giving control, the minister will get with members of parliament and will make sure that we do proper supervision, because through the committee responsible for local governance, you go and visit and we'll be able to do proper allocation and the right thing will be fixed. So you are right. The question was not what do I think about the position of the law. It said, what is man's opinion? Man's opinion is that, yes, the administrator must respond to the minister responsible for local government to give the ministry the opportunity to be able to do government policies.
Honorable Ahmed, in your answer, you brought out something very important. Okay. You brought out the issue of DACF deductions as source. That is a great worry to the district assemblies. And so I think that as Chief Whip, you have first-hand information of these challenges. So I want you to take the opportunity to tell us what you will do to address it.
Mr. Chairman, the first position is to work together The first position is to work together with Parliament, because the approval for the formula for the disbursement of common fund is done by Parliament through a committee of the whole. And thankfully, the person going to be responsible for finance is a former leader of this house, who used to champion the releases together with me. And your good self. So this is something that man leaders, including you, used to do. And we are going to deepen it.
Honorable Sefua, do you have any follow-up?
Yes. Well, unfortunately, I didn't get the answer that I wanted to get from my honorable friend, the nominee. Honorable Ahmed, you cannot use an act of parliament, as it were, to meddle a constitutional provision. My question was, there are two constitutional provisions. Two constitutional provisions. Those constitutional provisions is determining how one appointment will have to be done. Article 7.
Honorable Asofua, you asked the question. The honorable member has given an answer. That is his honest opinion, he said. So that's why I asked you, do you have a follow-up? So if you don't have a follow-up, then
I wanted to pick his opinion about if there is an opportunity for him that has been given to him by His Excellency the President as to how such an appointment will have to be done. My question to him is he going to advise the President to take the route of Article 70 or take the route of Article 252? Or he is going to also prefer to the President that, okay, now that there's a constitutional review committee, you think that even after the appointment, this is the position that I want to take. So, I mean, I just want to take his opinion in the event that he is asked as to how this appointment will have to be consideration the two constitutional provisions as far as Article 70 and 252 is concerned.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, my answer was that my opinion was sought, and I gave my opinion. The question my very good brother is asking is the position of the law. But like he has rightly answered, I answered by saying that together with Parliament, we are going to amend the necessary laws. And then amending the necessary laws, it is not the minister alone who is going to do it. Truly, there's a constitutional review committee, like you have rightly said, and which is going to deal with the constitution. But I just wanted it to be made clear that there have been implementation challenges, and those implementation challenges must be addressed. Addressing them will be amendment to the various laws regulating the appointment and the functions of the administrator for this Assembly Common Fund. So I take it on board.
Right.
Thank you very much, Honorable Safua. It's not the turn of Honorable.
I have other questions. I'm supposed to have 3 questions.
Well, I asked you, and when you were starting.
No,
I'll give you a chance. I'll give
my second question to the nominee is, with respect to election of MMDCs, I just want to pick your thought on that. All over the world, there seemed to be a certain approval or some amount of unanimity as to election of MMDs. In Ghana, we don't have it that way. Mr. Chairman, can you protect me? I'm receiving bounce from all over the table.
Please let the honorable member ask his question.
And so, one, do you agree to the fact that we should allow MMDCs to be elected? And secondly, does it have to be done on partisan basis? These are the questions I want to ask.
Mr. Chairman, one, the first question, I do agree that MMDCs must be elected. The second question is, I disagree that it must be done on partisan basis, and that is the bone of contention between the two sides. We said MMDCs must be elected on non-partisan basis, and you said they must be elected on partisan basis. We sold these two views to Ghanaians. We had 184, you had 88. It means Ghanaians totally agree with election of MMDCs on non-partisan basis. And I believe that if there's any time that this should be done, it should be now.
Thank you, Honorable Sefa. It's now the turn of Honorable Rita Odelusewa, MP for La Dadi Kopon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to congratulate my leader on his nomination by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama. Honorable Leader, we are aware that MMDAs are supposed to generate revenue to be able to boost the local economy. And as a former revenue mobilization. And I want to find out from you, how do you intend to work with the MMDAs to ensure that the blockage of leakages of revenue mobilization? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, in the first place, we are all moving towards digitization of or automation of revenue generation channels. And therefore, the first solution will be to digitize all revenue generation or revenue collection points at the MMDAs. Two, Mr. Chairman, we must deliver open and accountable governance, where chiefs, opinion leaders, and people residing in a particular jurisdiction of a district assembly will be aware of, one, revenues generated from their electoral areas, two, revenue generated from their district assemblies, three, how those revenues have been applied to the various contracts that have been awarded. If we practice a bit of accountability, Mr. Chairman, I think it will go a long way to improve upon the revenue generation of the MMDAs. It should not be a one-man job. It must be a participatory service.
To support organization. I speak as a typical example, citing my municipality, that Ikotopon. It's a big place, and I believe the revenue collectors there are not enough to be able to go around to collect the revenue to be used by the assembly.
The chairman, having been a long-standing member of the local government committee, there was a particular exercise where we embarked upon a field work to go to the various MMDAs and identify how much IGF, internally generated fund, they've been collecting annually. Mr. Chairman, it will surprise you. The staff, the amount spent on the revenue staff is more than the amount that is used to pay them. Most of the assemblies. And this was one of our fundings. And therefore, a lot of recommendations were given. And I think the report was taken on the floor of Parliament. And the records are there. So the issue goes beyond just recruitment. Secondly, in that report, we suggested that we employ a number of national service personnel as seated in Accra, some as receptionists. And their services are being needed in most of the MMDs to collect revenue. So, Mr. Chairman, beyond waiting to get financial clearance from the Minister of Finance to employ revenue collectors, we may have to visit the side of going to the National Service Secretariat, asking for national service personnel and giving them to the various MMDAs, charging them with the responsibility that those who will be so hard-working to be able to collect more revenue to the assembly during their national service time may be recommended for recruitment into this area of revenue collection. If those measures are taken, Mr. Chairman, I think it will help to improve upon the revenue collection of the various assemblies. Because once you employ the person and tell him that you are a full-time revenue collector, the person goes and become, excuse me to say, I don't want to use the word lazy, refuse to work as hard as the commission collectors. And this is the more reason why we must engage national service persons, charge them with responsibility, motivate them with the opportunity to be retained. In that regard, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, I believe will help solve the problem.
You still have the last question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Leader, my last one is, I believe in your capabilities, and I know you are going to work well as the Minister Designate for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. And I trust that you are going to work with our chiefs and religious bodies to ensure that we continue to enjoy the peace that we are enjoying. And I believe that with the Chieftaincy institution, you are going to keep an eye there, and whoever will represent you on that front will give you proper reports so that wherever there are issues, we'll be able to solve them. On this note, I want to congratulate you again, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, my good sister, Honorable Rita Odolesoa.
Thank you. It's now 10 of Honorable Patrick Yabuama.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and congratulations to my good friend and brother, and then you'll be through.
Anyhow, thank you, my good brother.
Thank you. Ahmed, I can see a lot of prominent chiefs behind you, and your portfolio includes that of the Chieftaincy, our revered Chieftaincy institution, which is captured under Chapter 20 of our Constitution, 22. We have witnessed a lot of chieftaincy disputes in this country. Some resolved, some unresolved. Even if you look at the Chieftaincy Act of 1970, provisions were made for the traditional houses to settle disputes. Same repeated under the 2008 Act. The same definition for who a chief is retained, Asante and other paramount chiefs. Their designations and categorizations are there. If you go to the traditional judicial councils, I don't know if you have your Chieftaincy Act with you. don't worry, I'll assist you. But from section 22 to 30 deals with the jurisdictions of the various houses of chiefs and judicial committees and their roles. The chiefs are not, they don't earn any income. Even their lands, there are issues with other neighbors. Investors do have issues with them. They go and do all sorts of things there. The capacity of the judicial councils to even deal with matters affecting the institution down there, to the extent that they can't even afford the services of lawyers to handle matters for them. Because for them to be able to hire the services of lawyers to deal with issues relating to their paramountcies or schemes requires the services of very good lawyers to handle same. Some ought to be on retainer. How are you going to use your office to resource the various judicial councils to be able to recruit the right lawyers to deal with some of the matters affecting chieftaincy in this country? Because their positions are recognized by the Constitution and also the Chieftaincy Act. Thank you.
Thank you, my very good brother. This is a very sensitive This is a very sensitive area, but as you have asked, it was one of the concerns of the chiefs. In the first place, our distinguished and revered chiefs earn their place by birth. And therefore, as one of our recommendations or suggestions, thank God the chieftaincy ministry is now being merged, it's now taking its rightful position with the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. What we are going to do is to consider, liaise with whoever becomes the Attorney General, and look at how best the Attorney General, together with our revered chiefs, can work together to improve upon the conditions of the lawyers of the Ministry of Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. With that, if the conditions appointment is being done by the Attorney General, the lawyers who are working at the Chieftaincy Judicial Committee and these things will have some side of relief, because they will be entitled to the conditions of service of the lawyers in the Ministry of Attorney General, the Attorney General Ministry. In that way, Mr. Chairman, I believe it will help to retain good and qualified lawyers to support our chiefs. Two, now that we are going to be privileged to establish our own university for local governance studies, one of the courses that are being suggested is that since our revered chiefs earn their positions by birth, it is the responsibility of the state, looking at the sensitive roles that they play, that we give them capacity building training by establishing a course in the University for Local Governance called Royal Academy of Chiefs, where the state will help or facilitate in training and organizing seminars and courses or capacity building courses for our chiefs by giving them customary, taking them through the customary laws and those things. If that is done, Mr. Chairman, I believe it will go a long way to solve the problem that we have.
The Royal Academy of Chiefs, will it be a department or an academy?
Mr. Chairman, we have University of Local Governance Studies. DC's capacity will be built. Chief's capacity will be built. Mr. Chairman, if you can't, I'm not a lawyer, but when it comes to law, our lawyers will tell you that when it comes to customary issues, they need to be given special touch. And these are the areas we are going to bring together to form a course that we call Royal Academy for Chiefs.
Very well. Honorable Obama, your next question, if you have any. Okay, Honorable Obama, hold it up.
Chairman, I didn't want to do this, but let me. Honorable nominee, welcome.
Thank you, my good friend.
And congratulations. In other words, it will be a faculty for chieftaincy studies. In other words.
Mr. Speaker, that is why the lawyers are there. Because you'll be brought together for us to bring the various subjects and courses together.
Thank you
for now, we just want you to know that we have
you have intentions to run a formal program for our chiefs and queen mothers.
Exactly. Very much. And thank you for adding the queen mothers.
So, Honorable, please go ahead.
Smart Ahmed. Ahmed, let me turn your attention to your party's manifesto. On, I think it's paragraph 6.31. Your intentions to upgrade. You have not been nominated. You can't sit here and ask questions. Rocks in the Fiamepo. Page 181 of 200. You are proposing to set up, to come out with a formula to implement the plastic waste recycling fund under the Customs Excise Amendment Act. Do you know how much goes into the fund annually? And whether you have an idea of the proposed formula and its distribution? Because I'm sure you are thinking in the light of the DACF formula or the GET fund or the NHI formula with regards to this. But first and foremost, you need to know how much, because this is what you call the baller tax that you spoke against. And now in the manifesto, you are thinking of coming out with a formula under your waste management program, solid waste management program. I don't begrudge you, but I want to have an idea. Thank you.
The Chairman, that will fall under the jurisdiction of the Minister for Finance. Now that all the taxes are being considered and being realigned, so if you can give me the benefit of the doubt, let's wait for the Minister for Finance to bring the budget latest by next month or next 2 months. Then we'll see the way forward. Once this, for now, it is a policy. Once the calculations and the things have not yet been done, when the Minister for Finance bring it, you and I are here, and we are going to work together to know what to go into it. But for the record, you know, I thought you were going to credit me. We were all part of a three committee made up of 75 MPs who went on nationwide tour to come to propose that there must be a sanitation tax, which is called baller tax. And Mr. Chairman, you know I was the convener of those 3-member committee. So I thought you were going to credit me. From where we sit, some may speak against it, but it was our brainchild.
Chairman, I don't have any further questions for my friend. I'm needed in the chamber, and I have to beg leave of you. I mean, congratulations. I wish you the very best.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. But Honorable Boama, you know you will be highly, and your services will be highly needed in my new ministry.
For a fee.
Thank you, Honorable. It's now the turn of Honorable Roxanne Dafiamapo.
Chairman, thank you very much. Chairman, I have a couple of questions for my whip, and it's to enhance his work. no malice intended at all. Yet, so let's make progress. The key issue for members of parliament and also the assemblies, especially because having had the opportunity to serve on the Public Accounts Committee for 8 years, I've come accustomed to the peculiar problems of the assembly in carrying out their mandate. It's in respect of the late releases of their share of the common fund. And as the sector minister, if this persists, we are going to be bedeviled with this. What innovative means will you deploy to ensure that there are regular releases of these funds to the various assemblies to carry out their mandate from not the Ministry of Finance, but from the administrator?
Mr. Chairman, you and I know that any government that plays with the timely release of this Assembly Common Fund to the MMPs pays the consequences. In 2014, the NDC couldn't pay the third quarter.
You're watching TV3. Let's get into some breaking news. This hour news just coming in. The president has made new nominations, a third batch of ministers. The 3 regional ministers outstanding have now been named. I'll take you over the list. Upper West Regional Minister Pozun Charles Luanga, Bono Joseph Adai Akwaba, Bono East Region Francis Owusu Enchi. And for ministers of state, the president has also nominated Dr. Edward Kofi Omane-Boama, Minister for Defense Designate. Ministry of Communication, Digital Technology and Innovations, Samuel Nate George Ningo Prampram MP is the nominee. Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Amakofibua, the Elembele MP, is the nominee. He's currently in charge of the Appointments Committee sittings right now. Ministry of Sports and Recreation, Kofi Idi Adams, Member of Parliament also. Ministry of Labour, Jobs and Employment, Abdul Rashid Pelpo. Ministry of Health, Kwabna Minta Akando. Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology, Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed. Ministry of Transport, Joseph Bukari Nikpe. Ministry of the Interior, Mutaka Mohammed Mubarak. Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa. Ministry of Works, Housing and Water Resources, A.J. Kenneth Gilbert. There are a few more to go. Minister of State in charge of Special Initiatives, Emmanuel Kwejo Ejekum. Minister of State, Government Communications, Felix Kwachi Ofosu. At the moment, he is acting spokesperson for the president. He signs the statement that has just been issued from the presidency. There's also Minister of State, Climate Change and Sustainability, Isifu Seidu. News just coming in. President John Dramani Mahama has made a third batch of appointments. I'll go over those real quick again. 3 regional ministers have been added, concluding the total of 16 regional ministers designate appointed by the president. Upper West Region, Pozun Charles Luanga. Bono Region, Joseph Adai Akwabwa. Bono East Region, Francis Owusu Enchi. Now, the ministers of state as appointed by President John Dramani Mahama. Ministry of Defense, Dr. Edward Kofi Omane-Boama. Ministry of Communications, Digital Technology and Innovation, Samuel Nate George. Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Ama Kofi Bua. Ministry of Sports and Recreation, Kofi Adams. Ministry of Labor, Jobs and Employment, Abdulrashid Pelpool. Ministry of Health, Kwabna Minta Akando. Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology, Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed. Ministry of Transport, Joseph Bukari Nikpe. Ministry of the Interior, Mutaka Mohammed Mubarak. Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa. Ministry of Works and Housing and Water Resources, J. Kenneth Gilbert. And then 3 more to go. Minister of State in charge of Special Initiatives, Emmanuel Kwejo Ejekum. Minister of State Government Communications, Felix Kwachi Ofosu. Minister of State Climate Change and Sustainability, Isifu Seidu. Those are the latest appointments that President John Dramani Mahama has made. These, like those we are seeing, will also be vetted, interrogated, interviewed by the Appointments Committee. Speaking of which, let's take you back to Parliament.
Some traditional areas are bifurcated.
There are some peculiar problems with some assemblies. And I'll cite my district to make the point.
If we get to Pwebe, half of Pwebe lies in Afajato South, the town, and half constitutes the district capital for Southern. One community, but divided into two, like the colonial masters did for us, and we're crying. But we have also done it to some traditional areas. So how are we going to tackle that? And let me add, if you go to the other side of Southern, when we were under Pando, the Dedo was part of Southern. But when Southern was carved out of Pando as a district, somehow the Dedo now falls under the administrative jurisdiction of whole West, even though it's a Peki community. And the Peki people, my people, I'm their MP. We've submitted petitions, just like Pebe also did, for that to be corrected. It's taking forever. And I know that having gone around this country in our public accounts work, we've encountered this in several other areas. So how do we streamline this so that peculiar traditional areas fall within peculiar administrative jurisdictions of districts?
Mr. Chairman, this is something we must give critical look at. Boundary dispute is real. I have visited a number of district assemblies in my 17th years or 16 or more in this parliament, and it is a time bomb. Ghana as a country used to play with boundary issues, and it was not until 2010 that being a member in this house, when we had critical problem with Cote d'Ivoire, that we formed the Ghana Boundary Commission. And you know that is only responsible for international boundaries. But when it comes to the internal boundaries, there's a shortcoming in that regard. So when giving the nod, it is an aspect that a critical look must be taken. Thank God we are bringing our distinguished and revered chiefs on board who are privy to these physical boundaries and barriers. So clearly, one, there will be a lot of consultations and some technical brains must be put together to make sure that we address that issue. The reason why it keeps on increasing and increasing, we don't finish redrawing the district boundaries, geographical boundaries, then we create other ones. So we keep on compounding that problem. But I believe as a country, time is of essence to make sure that we know our internal boundaries. And Mr. Chairman, we have a lot of surveyors in this country, a number of them trained. So I don't think it will be a difficult thing for us to do if we want to realign our boundary distance. But one critical thing is that when it comes to constituencies, it doesn't fall within the jurisdiction of the minister responsible for local government. That lies within the purview of the electoral commissioner. Until the electoral commission create his constituencies, the minister cannot be saying that, oh, I will redraw this or redraw that. Secondly, Article 47 is clear. That's for electoral commission. As for the duration for the creation of those things to, is 7 years or after population census. So if I sit here and say, oh, we will redraw the district boundaries or electoral boundaries, I may not. But the existing ones can be rechecked and make sure that there is a district map for every district. But that will also need time. There are very critical issues, and this is a national security issue matter. So I believe it must be looked at. But I can't promise either this year or next year. But for now, we identify it as a problem.
Beautiful. Now, one of the recurrent problems that auditors flag in respect of Assembly's work is an issue where Yabuama already touched on it, but I'm getting back to it, where commission revenue collectors will go to the centers, collect the revenues from our poor market women. Even when their sales are not good, they'll still collect. If you want to build, they say stop work, produce permits, we'll go and pay permit fee, they'll collect the money, but they will not account for it. Oftentimes, they abscond with the revenues collected. And Auditor General will make recommendations, retrieve the money and prosecute. It's never done. Will you consider, as part of your new policy directives for the ministry, to ask that assemblies in recruiting revenue collectors, they should have guarantors? Somebody must guarantee before you are made to collect revenues on behalf of the assembly. So when the person absconds, there's somebody to be held responsible for. Will you consider that?
Mr. Chairman, it must be seriously considered. And now that the owners of the land and the owners of the district have been brought on board, I think those things must be things of the past. And that's why I said revenue collectors who account openly to the district for us to see the electoral areas that are performing and those that are performing. These are critical areas that we must all look at. If a revenue collector or a commission revenue collector has come with the money, whose money do you think is running away with? It's your money. And therefore, we must all make sure that we fish for them. So when the chiefs have been brought on board, and you bring stricter and rigid measures regarding revenue collection, and the IGF is used for something concrete for people to see, I think there will be improvement. But when you go and collect the revenue, the people don't see what you have used with the revenue IGF locally. Tomorrow, when you go, will you get? The answer is no. So we must start a new thing. Give ourselves some time. Look at the returns of our effort. If it is good, we move ahead. If no, then we change our steps. But you can't be doing the same thing and expect a different result. There must be a new reset.
Thank you very much. Let me conclude by saying that I like the points in respect of the chieftaincy issues, where you are proposing that lawyers from the Office of the Attorney General will be seconded to the various traditional councils to assist them in their work. It will be such a major policy shift, because the decisions from the judicial committees of traditional councils actually settles a lot of chieftaincy disputes all the way to the Supreme Court. So that proposal, if you are able to do it, will be a major thing that will bring comfort to our chiefs and queen mountains. And I want to thank you for that innovative idea. I thank you for coming.
Thank you,
and once more, congratulations. Ms. Onehau.
Honorable Ahmed, my brother,
and leader.
Congratulations.
Thank you, leader.
I entered this parliament in 2009 with you. We were over 100 members. Today, I think we are, that 2009, we are 4 of us. It's me, you, Honorable Atufos, and I'm and Honorable Bejra. That should tell you about the attrition of parliament. And it also must tell you what it takes to sustain being a member of parliament. You have been a deputy whip, and when we were fortunate to be part of leadership, your experience was really very valuable in guiding us. You have been very passionate about the issues of local government.
Thank you.
And so there is no doubt in my mind that you are going to be very successful as a local government minister. Now, what is exciting about this new role, and that brings me to the very important question I have for you, has to do with the role of chiefs. You know that chiefs has been really the governor has been with the chiefs at the local level since the beginning. And so when we started going this path in democracy, I think that what has always come up has to do with what we can do to really get our chiefs involved in local governance. This ministry, I'm sure, has been put this way for a purpose. Can you share with us some of the things you will do to really get our chiefs to be active at the local governance level?
Thank you, my leader and my very good brother. There are so many things we do together with our chiefs. Mr. Chairman, you are not far from right when you said traditionally our chiefs used to be the development agents and leaders in their various jurisdictions until the modern governance came. So the merger or the fusion of traditional governance and modern governance is going to be of great benefit to this country. Mr. Chairman, there will be a common interface, not only with chiefs, traditional leaders and modern leaders, traditional governance and modern governance, but together with one other sensitive area, that's our pastors, imams, religious leaders, and faith-based leaders, who I always describe as eminent social capital. More often than not, we tend to overlook their effort. But until we bring their culture as part of our development culture, we will not get to the destination where we are going to. Because we have professors who are pastors, professors who are chiefs, engineers who are pastors, engineers who are chiefs. So if it happens that wherever those people are posted to, if you bring that common interface, so that every district will bring the chiefs, the pastors, the DCs, and the MPs together as a in the development forum, they will be able to identify the basic needs of those jurisdictions. And Mr. Chairman, with a little push from the center, most of these problems will be solved, rather than allowing only the DCE and saying that he is the overall president representatives and everybody is waiting for him to do something for them to see. That is why we were not going at the speed that we were expected to go. So the vision of His Excellency the President is to make sure that he gives the baton back, or the key back, to the original owners. He is not saying that I'm going to do away with DCEs, but he has recognized the development contribution of our traditional authorities and our faith-based leaders. And that is why he's merging the two. So I practically understand it, and I'm going to build upon it. That is one effective thing that we are going to do.
Thank you, Honorable Ahmed.
Thank you.
A lot of issues I have. I'm just going to mention them. Take note of them as issues that must really concern you. One has to do with the role of assembly members and how we build their capacity at that local level. You know, for example, some DCs for over a year will not even call for assembly meetings. Assembly members were weakened, especially based on some of the experiences I've had. And oftentimes their communities they represent have blamed them that they are not performing. Exactly the things we must do to strengthen assembly members must engage you. The issue of market management, markets, you know, the issue of market fires and the challenges we have there must be an issue that must really get the attention of the district assembly and the district DCEs. That must be something that we must come up with pragmatic measures to address. And there are also districts that frankly must be, at a second look, must be taken at for us to see how we can break them up, because they are too huge, even now as we speak, generally speaking. So those are issues that I think we must really concern you. Honorable Ahmed, those are not questions. I want you to take a note of them. But to say that I'm very, very proud of you, you've come a long way. There's no doubt that you succeed. As an elder and a brother in Christ, I know that the Lord will guide you to succeed. Congratulations.
Thank you, leader.
Congratulations. Honorable Ahmed, he was accompanied by very distinguished guests, our paramount chiefs, that at this point I will now be privileged to introduce. Okay. So I will introduce the paramount chiefs and the distinguished that accompanied Honorable Ahmed. What is this?
His Royal Majesty.
His Royal Majesty Odinoho Dr. Afra Brempong III, Omahin Suma Traditional Council, representation of Bono House of Chiefs. Chiefs, you're welcome. Prof. Obwade Noti King, Prof. Odafia Wellington, Paramount Chief, Nungwa Traditional Area, and President Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs. He's a representative of the National House of Chiefs as well. You're welcome, Nana. The third is we have Osajifo and Eya Mampong, Mamprako the third, when Chimahin, representative of the Bono Regional House of Chiefs. And you're welcome. We also have Apostle Emmanuel Tete. You're welcome. We have the Church of Pentecost Pastor Emmanuel Koku Apia, Sakuma District Pastor is here. Ambassador Kwajo Yamchebafo, Honorable, my former regional minister, you're welcome. Let's give to Ibrahim Ahmed. Madam, thank you so much for all the support. Nana Livi Watu, Banda Traditional Council representative, you're welcome. We have Nana Jato the second. Kwada Sohinia, Banda Traditional Council, Nana, you're welcome. Nana Pe Abuatia the second. Bamuhini, Banda Traditional Council, you're welcome. Nana Kaka Bako, Banda Traditional Council. Nana Hanteli Obrenpohini, Banda Traditional Council. Ahaji Sunkwa of Kumasi, you're welcome. Awulai Agama Tuajan, of Mahini of Jura Traditional Area in Ezima East Area. Nana Awulai, you're welcome. Nana Etia Kradi, the second chief of Jura Banso in the Ezima area, my own area. Nana, you're welcome. Tugbe Awusagba Bakwa, the second chief Bui Akanyankrom, you're welcome. Akanyakro, okay, you're welcome. Hajia Ramata, Mom, God bless you. Okuji Abo Bankwadi Osiakwahini of Bada Traditional Council, you are welcome. Honorable Kwesi Kofi Kra Pauline, the MP La Côte d'Ivoire, President of the Evaluation Commission Public Policies, cousin of Honorable Ahmed. For politics. Ahmed. Also will be all that. Come and join me. Amin Abdul Rahman, you're welcome. So now we have the Chief Director of the Ministry of Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. Now, as it is now, and all the officials that came with them, you're all welcome. Normally, you are discharged. Thank you. Yeah, colleagues, we will break and we will reconvene late this afternoon. Oh, we also have Sunyani Secondary School. All students who came as official from Sunyani Secondary School, you are all welcome. Colleagues, there will be a break. We will come back after Parliament adjourns. I thank you very much.
Things I want you to appreciate and understand that I believe is a key that you must have with you the rest of your life is as long as you live, please don't be fooled by religious people and all these religious sayings that he got the whole world in his hands. It's religiously true, but it's scripturally wrong. God is not in charge of this world. And I say it boldly because I've been preaching for 40 years, since 76. And I know what I'm telling you. I've had personal encounters with God, been to heaven. I've had personal encounters with the adversary, and I know what I'm telling you. One of the reasons why a lot of religions are spreading and are taking us in many ways is because of some of these religious errors or lies that we've bought. And so many bad things are happening to God's kids because we bought lies. The devil have sold us some lies, and it's